Hey there. Welcome back to Reddit Views, the best channel for cheating stories. Like and subscribe to the channel for more spicy stories and drop a comment for a chance to have your comment featured. Now, let's get into today's story video.
Found out my wife has an affair while I was working hard. Went to AP house to beat him up and told everything to his wife. I'm planning to dump her. Married 13 years when I found out, and it hit me like a ton of bricks. I was never a relationship kind of guy. Sure, I had some relationships, but I never felt close enough to any of them to invest emotionally. Handsome, athletic, wealthy, and highly educated. Enter my wife. Beautiful teen beauty queen. Smart, funny, like the same stuff I liked, Grateful Dead, beer, and I was smitten instantly. I'd never felt it before, and it feels like a punch right in the liver when you realize you're hopelessly in love. Fast forward a couple of years, and we were married and trying to have kids. Turns out she had a condition called premature ovarian failure, meaning she hit menopause at about 18. Over 8 or so years, we tried everything and I spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on treatments, ultimately landing on an adoption waiting list. All the while, she kept telling me that she felt horrible for her inability to bear children and that she didn't deserve me. I should move on and have my own children with someone else. I told her that I would never leave her side and I would give everything I own to allow her the gift, a woman's natural born right, of creating a life. Finally, we get the call from the adoption agency. A birth mother chose us. But as luck would have it, my wife became pregnant through IVF and a donor egg at the same time. The adoption agency said we were ineligible due to the pregnancy, but no matter. 9 months later, we welcomed our first child into the world. I felt like I was going to pass out when I met her, in disbelief that all of the time, money and pain had ultimately allowed us to realize our singular focus. I had a great job, a nice house outside of NYC, and a new little family. I was laid off a few months later, but not to worry. I don't give up easily. After floundering around in the family business for a while, during which time we burned every dime of savings, I mortgaged the house in an attempt to provide my child a sibling. It worked. Twins were added to the mix. I borrowed a little more and went back to graduate school. That's when the trouble started. Expenses piling up, free kids in diapers, and a husband constantly driving 80 miles back and forth to school while working full-time must have gotten to her. I remember driving through town one day and my wife told me she was unhappy. I said I know, but I will push myself as hard as I can to land a great job and restore our fortunes once I'm out of school. Not too much longer, I promise. A couple of days before Christmas, we had some friends at the house when the phone rang. The caller ID said it was a guy I played hockey with in an adult league. Actually, it was registered in his wife's name. The guy happened to be my wife's high school ex, a guy not even on my radar as someone whom to be jealous or worry about in the least. I never had a problem with him. We weren't buddies or anything. Far from it. But I could easily break him in half on many levels, and he probably knew it. My wife never used to talk about him, and if anything painted him in a less than complimentary light. So, I look at the caller ID and jokingly announce the call to my wife and friends. My wife all but ripped the phone from my hands to answer it. Seemed odd, but whatever. We were drinking and having a good time. Our friends and I chuckled about the guy for a minute and then moved on. She was gone for 30 minutes or so on the phone upstairs, during which time things were winding down in the kitchen and the kids needed to go to bed. My friends said their goodbyes and were on the way out when my wife came downstairs looking like something was seriously wrong. She said we needed to talk after making sure the kids were settled in bed. I said, "What is it?" Silence. Seriously, what is it? Silence. Then an aura of guilt started to form. Spidey senses tingling now. What the hell did you go? What the hell did she do? She said she had an affair. She got a babysitter on the Fridays I was away at school, went into the city, and met her high school ex at his office a few times, but it was over. They both realized how wrong it was. Rage. I drove to his house to beat the living hell out of him. My wife called my dad and told him what was happening, and gave him the address where I was headed. Luckily, the man wasn't home. He actually got hammered and wrecked his car. unclear whether he was running away from me or just running away from the situation in general. I talked to his wife for a while, apologized for my wife's actions, told his son not to worry, and that everything would be okay. I was pulling out of the neighborhood when I spotted my dad's car. I went home with him and spent the night with my parents. I got incredibly drunk. The next morning I woke up, almost as if just coming around after being knocked out. Where am I? What happened? Oh yeah, now what? I went home to gather my things and say goodbye. No one does this to me and gets away unscathed. I was going to live with my parents for a little while and figure things out. Extreme guilt can be like a truth serum. I told her I wanted to know everything. She hooked up him in his office, went down on him a few times, and let him go down on her. But it was over. She abandoned the husband who stood by her and gave everything so that she could have a child, who was killing himself to better their situation, who would do anything for her and their children. But it was over. Please don't leave, I love you, she said. I made a mistake, but it's over. I went down to the basement and cut my wedding band in half with an angle grinder, came back upstairs and threw the pieces at her. One of my kids was at the kitchen table as I was leaving with my stuff, and she smiled at me. The rage subsided. I realized I couldn't abandon my children and let this weak individual raise them alone. I softened my tone and decided at that moment to just take it, eat it. For my children, I lied and told her I only wanted her, no one else. That it was okay, everyone makes mistakes, and you have been under tremendous stress given the finances, free kids in diapers, and a husband distracted by school and attempting to forge a better life. Not everyone has my patience or pain tolerance, and she clearly couldn't see the light at the end of the tunnel. I did it for my kids. I've been faking it for years. I did what I said I would. Great job, nice house, upstanding member of the community. But there's a strong chance that when my children are grown and out on their own, my wife may wake up one morning alone. Her beauty faded, along with her dreams of enjoying life with her partner by her side. Publicly disgraced, her children possibly realizing how she jeopardized the well-being of our family. I haven't decided yet. But I'll keep that option in my back pocket. I believe my only true job is to make sure my children grow into happy, successful adults. So far, so good. Once that's done, I can start thinking about what I want. I don't hate her anymore. I might even still love her. But the innocence is gone. And good Lord, I would love to pay back the pain. I don't need her in the slightest and probably wouldn't miss her, but my children need a mother right now. I feel for everyone who has had their trust broken, dreams smashed, confidence shaken, masculinity or femininity stripped from them. You are stronger than you think. Humans can take a lot of pain and still push forward. I lied and told her I only wanted her, no one else. That it was okay, everyone makes mistakes, and you have been under tremendous stress given the finances, free kids in diapers, and a husband distracted by school and attempting to forge a better life. Not everyone has my patience or pain tolerance.